Hi everyone, welcome back to the IT blog. So today I want to discuss threat modeling with Stride. So threat modeling is a process and it's used for a offensive or defensive. From a offensive perspective, hackers will look at an organization such as Coca-Cola. It's one of the cyber news stories that we discussed previously. They'll look at Coca-Cola and view, okay, what are their products? From a supply chain perspective, from a merchant perspective, what merchants purchase their product, from a consumer perspective, how do they have access, right? And that's essentially the attack surface. And an attacker would use threat modeling to identify what pieces are easiest to attack, and from there they're able to categorize all the attacks that they have on their tool belt to then do a coordinated attack to a particular system and product. From a defensive perspective, Coca-Cola and even yourself as a person can then take an inventory and perform threat modeling and say, from an attacker's perspective, how can they compromise me? How can they take ownership of my systems or products? And for so we can see that threat modeling can now be a defensive and offensive process or action that anyone can use. And so, but from now that we have an understanding of what threat modeling is and how can you identify all these potential just areas and products and systems that an individual can attack, and you think of all, and part of this exercise is imagining from a scene perspective, something like so obscure as like social engineering, or someone just attacking a piece of software, or like so. How do you then able to just put everything in a nice packaged category, so then you can dig deeper into how can they can attack or how can you defend? And this is where Stride comes in. So Stride is essentially, it is an acronym, but is essentially it puts every attack and every up to date like news articles and everything you would hear in the news into one of those categories. And it can, and one attack can be multiple categories, and really it's just, it enables you to just kind of narrow your scope, instead of just thinking of just things randomly, thin air. And you can wonder, you'll sit there wondering like for a long period of time, wonder how can I defend that, what are they trying to attack? And so this is what Stride is used for. So and it helps you just identify and streamline that process. So Stride is an acronym that stands for spoofing, tampering, repudiation, information disclosure, denial of service, and elevation of privilege. So from a spoofing standpoint, it's just fraud. One system or one system or product, or yourself as a person or organization, believe they're communicating with someone, but really they're not. Tampering, really, its base is really loss of confidence. You no longer trust the files and systems that you are accessing because someone modified them, someone tampered with it. A repudiation is someone was tricked. An office worker or yourself, a CEO, clicked on a link or was text thinking it's someone, and they responded back with critical information. Um, you were now spoofed, and you were thinking that you were doing a real action, a thing that was looked real, and it looked like you were trying to land into a banking site, or I was texting critical information to my HR person, and I knew when I clicked that it was supposed to send me here, but it didn't. It literally downloaded malware on my phone or my computer. So that's repudiation. It's really the person who performed an action but was tricked into doing so. Something like they click on a link on a website, but in the back end they say, well, you release liability for XYZ. Information disclosure, that's mainly a real simple term. Somebody was accidentally CC'd on critical information. You have board members sending emails to other board members, and you have a similar name to someone, and they CC'd. that individual, but you were landed in there, and now that information is leaked. That's information disclosure. Someone who wasn't allowed to have access now has access. And so denial of service. We've hear a lot about denial of service, and you mainly hear distributed denial of service, where you have multiple systems, thousands or millions, attacking one product or system. Um, and the whole goal to that is to essentially get the service offline, no longer available. And the way they do that is it's pretty technical. They send a lot of requests to the system. Imagine millions of people trying to reach a website that normally does not handle that much, and they don't have a solution to scale, and the attack just continues to scale. And actually, in organizations, dig a little deeper here, where an organization can have scaling mechanisms to you have millions and billions of requests, that which is a big spike, but you don't want to bring down the system. You keep scaling up. So if you have automation to scale your services to combat a denial of service attack, you're now, oh, our systems are online, we'll keep up. But guess what? You're scaling services, say you have a cloud provider, they're charging you for all that, right? So how do you stop the fake requests but allow the real requests, right? So that's part of the challenge here. But denial of service is attempting to either bring down the system, or it could even be used to charge the organization a lot of money by all these fake requests. So an elevation of privilege is pretty scary. It's, imagine your phone being you lost control of it. They used your account, and from a software or product perspective, or even system perspective, they were able to use your account and get developer or root privilege, or for Linux and Windows, administrative privilege, and Mac for administrative privilege. And now you can do anything and everything without a password. They can make your start button on your computer launch a notepad, or shut down button on your computer to do nothing, or just lock your screen, right? So those are it's actually a very pretty scary type of attack to get elevation of privilege, because you're no longer utilizing getting full control of your own system. So that's a quick rundown on what Stride, the acronym, is. And I wanted to dig a little bit deeper on how you would use that and what it will look like from a organization or for yourself. How can you sit back and say, okay, like, you can imagine these things, but it's probably easier to draw something out. So let's kick into this other layout here. Okay, great. So here I quickly built a. I wanted to make this as simple as possible, and I won't take too much time here because I don't want to get too technical. But here you are in the bottom where it says you. You're uh, working with your phone, and you launch a TikTok app, and you launch Instagram, and you're operating within that ecosystem. Now you have a stranger who's off to the side, and now this can be person with either system access. They can attack you specifically, and what does that look like? Shoulder surface. Someone's behind you, looking at your password, or looking at the what procedures you're doing to either launch the app. You can do like a password or motion, or you have two-factor authentication. They're able to gather some information there. The stranger could then attack your phone directly. Someone can install so they attack you, grab your passcode, then attack your phone, inject some keylogger, what a keylogger means is they steal your credentials, and then attack TikTok, where they stole your credentials from your every time you type in your credentials to log into TikTok. Now they're able to use that information to log into TikTok themselves, and this is how. And in the way, and then now, like, okay, so how do we categorize that? So from attacking you perspective, that could be something like information disclosure, where that information was released to them not by your own like approval, but them just stealing that information, stealing your account access, stealing your credentials. an individual could then install, like I mentioned, a keylogger. That is spoofing, right? You think you're only talking to your phone, right? You're only typing in the phone and you trust it. You lost that trust because now somebody installed a piece of malware that's stealing all of your passwords. So then you have say like, this was a little challenging. How does that um, somebody attacking? I believe that'll be spoofing. So stranger attacking TikTok and falsifying their claim that they are you, right? So and then they use the um, the the information disclosure attack and your spoofing attack to then spoof TikTok into believing that they are who you say you are. The strangers says that you are you, they are you, but really they're just a stranger. And so now they have access to your TikTok. Now, for this is more real world, right, where someone's just stealing a TikTok account. But imagine this was Wells Fargo, right, or Chase, or what other bank is out there? Bank of America, right? So, um, and even your company, right? You can be working and somebody shoulder surfing and they don't even want to attack Instagram or TikTok and they don't even know. They're just trying to gather information. They find out where you work and they started. They're like, "Hey, great! I have their passwords and credentials for work. Now I want to attack their company." So this is how you take part, even though you don't think about it. But you take critical piece of the whole cybersecurity landscape on how people can, and this kind of brings up a lot of things where bring your own devices and things like that, but I don't want to get too deep into that. But essentially you can use threat modeling and then perform threat modeling process and actions and use stride so you can then categorize all the potential attacks and vulnerabilities that you have on yourself or your organization has. And really quickly, you can identify whether a system is vulnerable or not, or they can, hey, we need to increase our security in this area. So, just real quick summary on that. Link down below on a more detailed blog that I wrote and put it together. It comes with examples and things of that nature. And I really appreciate everyone tuning in. Till next time. Peace.